Our next guest tonight, an adjunct professor at George Washington University, editor-in-chief of Topics in Geriatric Rehabilitation for more than 35 years, also a Catherine M. Worthingham Fellow and Mary McMillan Award winner. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Dr. Carol Lewis.
Do me a favor, stand up for a second. Come on, we're talking activity. Just stand up, stretch for a second, raise your arms in the air, both hands in the air. Turn to your left. Put your hands on the person's shoulders in front of them and give them a neck massage for like 5 seconds. Now go the other direction and then have a seat. All right, now you can sit through the rest of these. So while you're sitting down, I want to thank Fox for inviting me to do this, I think. A 10-minute talk, okay. But I really have a lot of respect for all of you. And the way you know that is I actually refer patients to you, all right? I think so high. And, wait. I get the most amazing, actually somebody sent me a bouquet of flowers for sending somebody to you. All right, I'm collecting on you. It's pretty nice. Anyway, and then all the rest of you that are here that aren't necessarily with Fox, the fact that you're here, you're listening to these innovative people talk about all these great ideas, I think that's pretty amazing. And I think it bodes well for our professions. So let me start. Start that timer, Andrew. I know he's doing it. In 2016, I gave the Mary McMillan lecture, and it was called Our Future Selves, Unprecedented Opportunities. It's 3 years later, and I'm wondering, what are we doing with these unprecedented opportunities? We are the consummate functional rehabilitation specialist and the exercise experts on the medical team. But are we really living up to our potential? So I'd like to begin by telling you about a phone call I received about 4 months ago. And one of the things that I do now is I do the annual physical therapy visit. We talk about wellness, but do we really have something that looks at that? And there are some tools out there. All right, this is one that I developed, and I spend about 50% of my time doing these annual visits. And I developed this because in my McMillan, I said we need to do an annual visit just like you go to a dentist. You need to do that. So I developed this tool. I get a phone call from a gentleman that says, I want you to do this examination on me. I go to meet him, and you know how therapists make up their mind as soon as they see somebody. And I walk in the room, and I look at this guy, and I think, wow, he's in pretty good shape for somebody in their 70s. Turns out he was 90, all right? Then it turns out he's a past president of the American Medical Association. No pressure. Anyway, I do the examination with him, and when we're done, he turns to me and he says, I want you to know I've had a lot of examinations in my life. He said, but that was the most comprehensive, and that is what medicine needs today. I wanted to give him a hug, but wasn't professional. But basically, I think he's on it. What we do is desperately needed in healthcare. It's time for us to be known for our ability to predict and prevent falls, compression fractures, weakness, back pain, disability, and mortality, as well as rehabilitation. Lauren Bacall, who also was a patient of mine, I know I shouldn't say that, said standing still is the fastest way of moving backward in a rapidly changing world. So I want us to go forward, and I want us to really look at the world in comparison to what we are currently doing. So let's take a look at this study that came out of Japan in 2017. And what happens when you turn 65 in Japan, you fill out a 72-item questionnaire that puts you into disability levels, 7 of them to be the fact, goes from independent to completely dependent. And what they decided to do about 5 years ago is they decided to send physical therapists out to 20,000 people. And they had them do a tug and a 5-time sit to stand. And what they found is if people could not complete a tug in at least 9 seconds and a 5-time sit to stand in 10 seconds, that at the 2-year follow-up, they went down to a disability level. It could have been from independent to needing 2 hours to whatever lower level. We can predict if people will become disabled. What that says to me is we can also give them things to do so they don't become disabled. So it is happening all over the world. The question is, why is it not happening here? Is it because it isn't important? Here's a few things I pulled out of the literature. 30% of older people have gait disturbances. 24% fall. 50% have rotator cuff problems. And 30% have low back pain. So the question is, why aren't we doing this? I would like to proffer 3 reasons. The first is we don't toot our own horns. We need to scream what we do from the rooftops. Write articles, get interviewed, speak at local and national meetings. We need to jump on opportunities. And we need to be careful about missed opportunities. And I know I mentioned this in my Macmillan, but I think it's such a missed opportunity. Hold on. Not enough hands. It's such a missed opportunity that I'm going to repeat it again. So what this is this an article by Moyer that came out in the Annals of Internal Medicine. Doesn't get much better than that in terms of impact factor. Prevention of falls in community-dwelling older adults, and it was a preventative task force recommendation. The only thing they could recommend, after looking at all the literature, expert panel, was physical therapy or exercise and vitamin D. Then in 2016, Usi Rossi did a study and looked at physical therapy and vitamin D. So it was a randomized controlled study, and it had one group getting physical therapy, one group getting vitamin D, one group getting both, and one group getting none. And what they found is that, in fact, the vitamin D had no effect, but that physical therapy more than halved the incidence of injurious falls. Yet the article, which, by the way, doesn't even mention the word physical therapy as who was giving the exercise till page 2, the conclusion, the editorial, the commentary, and all the media attention only talked about the lack of efficacy of vitamin D. That makes me crazy, all right? Why wasn't there a chain that came down and said, hey, you get on the news, you write an article, you go to a senior center, and you tell people about this, all right? These are the missed opportunities. Well, let's look at the other reasons. We tend to be timid and lack confidence, and maybe that's due to when we were lesser members of the medical team. We've sort of lost the fires in our belly to all that we can do. We need more than ever now to step up. We become complacent, all right? And in losing that confidence, what happens is, one of the things that I do is, as an editor of a journal, I look at articles submitted by PTs and OTs compared to articles submitted by physicians. And what I find is therapists tend to be sort of apologetic and minimizing the value of their research and what they found out, whereas my physicians are confident. You know, they say, this is great. They tend to wax poetic in their discussion sections. We need to be more confident. I hope you're seeing a pattern here. And basically what I think we need to do is we need to take control. Imagine a healthcare system driven by wellness and prevention as well as rehabilitation. So I hope you're sitting there thinking, well, this is nice, Dr. Lewis, but what can we do now? Well, in your practice tomorrow, after you've had success treating one of your older patients, for example, for a hip fracture, notice, is there something else that you might be able to evaluate? For example, a forward head, and then you do a wall occiput distance test. And now you're working with that person on their posture as well. Nobody wants to hear, hey, why didn't my therapist tell me that a forward head could cause a compression fracture? These are things that we can do. What else can you do? Join me in the belief that we have so much to offer our patients and the community, and really get the word out. It can be as simple as explaining to a spouse and patient how effective an intervention you are doing is based on recent study, upon your prevention and update your prevention and wellness knowledge by seeking out research-based training, and dream large. You know, spread the word about what we do through interpersonal communications, social media, television, publishing, about the benefits of our professions in prevention as well as rehabilitation. I really have to say, you need to live up to your potential. It's not who you are that holds you back, it's who you think you're not. I believe we have so much to offer, but only if we step up to the challenge of letting the world know our tremendous value. We can stand still and let the world pass us by, or we can take advantage of for unprecedented opportunities. Thank you.